It's on now?
Yep.
Hey, what's up, tribe? It's Neil.
And Diamond.
And this is the
Haven't
Haven't Tried
Tried
podcast.
podcast.
This is a Christian podcast. So we encourage people to build a stronger and more personal relationship with God.
And if you haven't already, please be sure to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Follow us on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook.
That's a fact. That's a fact. So I'm excited again. We got another couple on tonight. Ashley.
Yep, Ashley and Michael.
Right. We met them online. Great couple. They're in the ministry. They're doing big things for God. And we just ready to have them on and invite them to share a little bit about their journey, being married, having kids, on with our series about commitment in marriage as well as parenting.
Right. So we're glad this is a story about purpose and pursuit, again, in regards to ministry and everything that they're doing, and just going to share with us some of their things that they do and how they keep God in their marriage as well.
Yep.
So we want to bring them on. Let's welcome Ashley and Michael.
What's up, guys?
Hey, y'all, guys.
Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show.
Welcome.
So, of course, we know about you from off camera speaking to you, but our audience doesn't know. So just share a little bit about, who you are, where you from, and how you met.
Yeah, you got that. All right. So, I am Michael Bronax II. Right. I'm from various places. I was born in Louisville, Kentucky, raised in Knoxville, been in Middleton, the Nashville area for 14 years now. This is my beautiful wife, Ashley. Hey, y'all. She's born and raised here in Nashville. And if you're not familiar, that's a unicorn because there's so many people moving here. Yeah. It's about 80 people a day moving. A lot of change going on. But it's my beautiful wife. We've been married coming up on 2 years in September.
Yeah, next Wednesday, actually.
Yes.
Will be.
Wow.
Ooh,
Congratulations. That's a milestone.
Still newlyweds.
Newlyweds. So we have a 1-year-old son. He's actually 14 months as of today. He made 15 months. So we in a very short time period, we met at church. I think you asked us where we met. We met at church. We got engaged in March of 2019. We bought a house in May. We were married by September and pregnant by October.
Ain't waste no time.
Right. God did a quick work.
Amen.
We always like to say that although it was quick, it was not rushed. We did therapy and individual therapy, couples therapy, premarital counseling with our pastors, all that type of stuff. But I work in education, nonprofit, youth development. Michael is a starting grad student.
All right.
His master's in marriage and family therapy.
That's what's up.
And we're youth pastors at our church, and amongst other things. Yeah.
I got a lot going on, man. Youth pastors, newlyweds, 2 years in, just coming up, and then a new kid too. It's a lot on y'all plate. So how do you all find time to have time for each other with so many different things you got, dealing with? How do you make time for each other?
There's an intentionality there. Like you really have to be intentional with your time, with your space. I think for us, like I know for one of her main top love languages is quality time. Originally for me, quality time means like, we gotta be just sitting down here, candle lit, like looking at each other's eyes and stuff. And she's like, nah, like just you down here and like and we chilling and we like our favorite show. Or I think one of the things we find time the most is like watching just random funny videos together. Like we can spend hours just laughing at videos, showing each other videos, like laughing together. I think is really what kind of like how we find our time
having fun together.
Yeah, that's cool.
Enjoying that. But I think mostly, like you said, just being intentional. And also, as we're learning, each season requires some reassessing.
Yes.
Right. So we come back to the drawing board because maybe what worked last season is not going to work in this season. Like we have a toddler now, that plays a part. Mike's about to be in school and in a different location, that plays a part. Different job requirements, where you are mentally, spiritually, emotionally, all those things play a part. So I think just kind of reassessing each new season and figuring out, and we're kind of in that season currently, like what's working, what's not working, what is a priority right now, what's not a priority right now, what's necessary, what's not necessary, what are we planning for in the future that we need to start considering and putting into motion now, all of that type of stuff. A lot of communication.
Yeah.
I
would say going to like the whole changing seasons, I think Friday nights for us would be like, I don't know what we're gonna do. Then we just like end up somewhere like bowling or like just out, like having a drink and a conversation. Now it's like, oh, we're at Chuck E. Cheese.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. I don't know. I kind of be okay with that. Like this pandemic has made me realize like maybe I was a much more of a homebody than I realized, because I really enjoy kicking it. And I mean, like maybe game nights with the fam or something like that, karaoke. Like I'm cool with that. I don't necessarily have to be out and about on the scene. You feel me? They require a lot of money. You gotta get new outfits, get your hair done. Buy stuff while you're there. But I think definitely when the pandemic is over, like going back on trips and stuff like that.
Right.
That's something that we try to do like once a quarter. We just, send the kid away for the weekend and just kind of do us, whether we get a room in the city, get a hotel room in the city, or
little staycation.
Right. A couple of hours out. You don't have to be like, it could be in the city or something.
Right. So I know you all were saying that it was a quick thing, rush thing, but it was a good thing still, that you all put your work in before you all got married. But how did you all know this? I could spend the rest of my life with this person. How did you know?
It not to already over spiritualize it, but it was a God thing.
Okay.
Like when we first got together, like I just. I always say like, this is my forever best friend. Like we was just cool. Like I was like, this is the homie. You know what I'm saying? Like not even like, oh, I'm putting her in the friend zone. It was just like, I was so infatuated, like building this like relationship, and not just like the, romantic relationship, but like just our friendship. I was like, yo, she's cool. Like I love talking to her. I feel comfortable talking to her, which is weird because I just met her. Yeah. But like, our conversations would be in depth, but it wouldn't be in an in-depth way where it's too intrusive.
It's not invasive, right?
Yeah,
right.
Or overly religious. You know what I'm saying? Like just trying to be overly religious or spiritual. And we would just like we had talked for about like a month or so before we got together. And right around the time we got together, I just knew, I was like, there's something different about this one. Like
boom.
It was like after our first, we call it the unofficial first date, because we it was just it was a Sunday. She was like, hey, I'm free, because I've been trying to like, hey, you want to go out? She's like, I'm busy. So like at first, I'm not gonna lie, I thought she was trying to like kind of like,
and she's still busy.
Yeah, she was. Don't get me wrong. She was definitely busy, because I was like, oh, maybe she wouldn't. But
that kind of took me aback a bit, because, and I was watching a podcast today with Kev on Stage and his wife Melissa, and they're just talking about like men approaching women isn't super common anymore. So he was asking me out, I wanted to go. You know what I mean? Like I was like, oh my gosh, like this is so uncommon. For somebody to be like, let's go. Like I want to take you on a date. Like I want to take you out. For me, that was uncommon. So I wasn't trying to curve him. I really was busy. I did have family stuff going on. I'm super family oriented. We both are. So it just was a busy time, right? It just was a busy time. But yeah, we ended up going, and it wasn't a date. It just was like I think we were supposed to go play laser tag.
Okay.
But then they closed.
They had, we walked up, they're like, oh yeah, we closed. We just did our last game. I'm like, well, this is the main thing we came to do. It was like, well, I don't know what else. And I was like, oh, there's an escape game over here. Like, let's do that. The next one's not for a couple of hours, so we can just chill, walk around and talk like we normally do. She got her street hot dog, which is her favorite thing. Love street hot dogs. And like we were just talking at the riverfront, and which was perfect for me because like even before we got together, like that spot was just my spot to hang out. Like I would go by myself and just like be by the water, be with God, or just be to myself talking, you know what I'm saying, just relaxing. So after that moment, then we went to the escape room, we escaped.
Praise Lord.
And right. So, and seeing in the escape room, I saw there, like, you know, we knew how to work each other's strengths. And I was like, we can work good together. I'm like, I really like this. And so I was like, man, I just don't want it to end. And we were walking back, and in Public Square in Nashville, they had like these water fountains. And she said something about like, I remember I used to run through. I was like, let's do it. She was like, okay. And so we're walking fully dressed. You know, we really, in our clothes we wore to church. Yeah.
Right. Oh, y'all going all the way.
She showed it. Yeah. We got this random guy to like record us. And we were running through, and like I grabbed her hand as we was running. I was like,
this is a keeper.
This is it.
Yeah, that was cool. I think for me, I knew one of my friends had taught me how to ask God, like when new people entered your life, to say like, God, what's their purpose? What's their role? And that helped because you didn't put, you know, people in their wrong position and then be upset, you know, when it don't work out, and not necessarily romantic, just anything, right?
Yeah.
So I was asking God, like, what's up with this dude? Like, what are we doing? You know, because at that time, I think I was, like 28. I'm like, I don't really got time for the games, for the food. You know, not that I was like, you know, whoever talked to me need to marry me immediately. But it was just like the pressure that he was applying. It was kind of like, what I don't want to do is enter this situation and then it be another like, womp, womp, you know, let down. So I was like, you know, God, what's going on? And he just kept saying, go until he was like, what does it feel like? And I was like, well, honestly, it feels like you. It was very comfortable. It was very loving. It was very fun, open. Like it just was regular. Like there was no red flags popping off or anything like that. And he was like, well, keep going until it doesn't. So then I was like, okay, well. And then it just was, we just kept like, I just kept going, and I would ask God periodically, like, hey, you know, we still good, you know, like, because I also was fresh off of an inner healing retreat. So I had went to this inner healing retreat for like a weekend. So I'm like deep into like, all I got is hope for you. I don't got nothing else. You know what I mean? I'm like ready to do the work of the Lord, and what does he have for me, and all of that type of stuff. So I just was, you know, spending a lot of time with God at that time. And maybe like a month into it, God was like, that is your husband. So he did reveal that to me. I did not run and tell him. So ladies, if you feel like God has revealed that to you, you might want to yourself. You do not need to go and run and be like, God told me you my husband, so you need to come on. Like, that's not at all what I did.
Say that again.
But side note, because I literally said, hey, God, when I find my wife, like, even though I know it's ordained, like, I want it to be like organic. Like, I don't want you to be like, that's your wife, or she comes to me like, you my husband. Like, she says that, like, I'm gonna go.
Yeah, and I didn't. I just wasn't in that. I was like, nah, that's not what I'm trying to do. So I just kind of prayed that thing through. You know what I mean? I don't know that I shared it with a lot of people either. I just kind of kept going. And then God would be like, hey. And I mean, we would start at that point. Maybe we were already like, I think you had asked me to be your girlfriend, I think. But we would have conversations, and we would, like he said, we talked about so much, and it was so easy to talk. And our dates were like we would go out on a Friday night, maybe start at like 6 or 7. Not like I wouldn't walk into my house and nothing was happening. We were just literally going to different places, talking. Maybe walk into my house at like 3 a.m. Then we would go for brunch at like 12 or 1 the day, and then we would be with each other, and then go to the park and ride bikes, go home, take a shower, come back out together, see each other. So like it was like multiple of those, and we were just like kicking it. We was having a good time. And I don't know, like we ended up talking, and God was just like, these are some questions that these are some things that y'all need to talk about. Mm-hmm. And again, it wasn't like a hurry up and go get married. So although we knew probably about like September, we got together August 24th of 2018. That's when we officially started dating. So just two days ago, 3 years ago. Mm-hmm. That makes sense. So we were dating officially, and then we would like after work, after church, Waffle House is our spot.
Mm-hmm. The Waffle House.
So we would meet at the Waffle House, and we would just talk and talk about our days. We did a lot of devotionals together, stuff like that. And we just talked about things that God brought up to each of us. And eventually we did get to the space to where we were able to share like, hey, I feel like this is, that you're who God would have me to marry. But also like, that was after some trusted time of us being together. It was not immediately. And we were still wanting to stay on the cadence that God had for us. So we were not trying to move outside of his timing at all.
That's good.
I did know though that it was not in the will of God for me to be a long-term girlfriend. So I was vocal about that. Like, hey.
Okay. Yeah.
Because again, I'm 28. Like, I'm not about to be your girlfriend for 5 years. And if that's your ministry, that's your business, and go ahead and do your thing. But that in mind, that wasn't what God had for me. And I knew that
wasn't in the plan.
She applied the pressure.
Amen.
Listen, so it's like, I don't know what you're gonna do, but I just know this or whatever. And I think the things that God had us to talk about, and it would just be like, am I a long time with God, or his a long time with God, or us praying together, questions that would come up, and I would just write them down in my phone. And then by the time we started doing premarital counseling, a lot of those things we had already talked about, and maybe we didn't talk about in as much detail or whatever, but a lot of that we had already discussed.
That's good.
Let us know, like, we were already. I think there was more confirmation, like, hey, this is like a me thing, like me being like a guy thing. Like he's saying, like, this is me, like you guys are good, and then even still, like she was saying, she's saying she was applying the pressure. So I think about mid-September.
I'm not saying I was applying for.
I was talking about like.
Okay.
Talking about like. What you?
Something that's kind of come up. I've seen a lot. Is like these women. Again, if that's your thing, that's cool. That for you. Like I've seen like a lot of things like women proposing to men and stuff like that, and I'm just not. I'm okay with returning energy. You know what I mean? Like if returning interest. I don't want to like be so like if you're interested in you applying pressure, shooting your shot and be like, when really I'm digging you. If I'm digging you, I don't have a problem saying that, but I'm not out here pursuing you.
That's a thing now. Like women be proposing to men.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
With rings and all that.
You remember years ago on Love and Hip Hop when it first came out, New York.
Chrissy showed enough did
to Jim Jones.
Wow.
And it was like
other people do it,
maybe 10 years ago. That was early.
Yeah. I mean, we discussed in our commitment, our commitment and marriage series, that a man who finds a wife finds a good thing and finds favor from the Lord, obtains favor from the Lord. And I share basically the same thing, is that even though for us that we ended up getting pregnant before we got married, once we found out, then we got married and still married, amen. But when I didn't pursue him to marry me, I didn't say, won't you come marry me, or, make me an honest woman. I wanted him to initiate. And it was crazy because my cousin and we were talking today, and she was like, you know what? I believe that a man has to like the woman more in order for it to last a while, because if he's not interested in you, then why are you still trying to pursue? And I was like, well, you know what? I made sure that my husband wanted me before I was all like, hey, all up in his business, because I wanted him to pursue me, because that's what the Bible says.
Yeah,
the man that finds a wife. Yeah.
I think for me, just to piggyback on what you were saying, it was some certain things in her that made me interested to want to be married to her. Like, she showed already she was a woman of God. She went to church. She took care of her household. She was very intelligent. And she looked good, so it was easy for me to make the decision. Now, the people around me, it was a little bit hard for them, but it didn't matter to me because I knew who I wanted. And I think nowadays it's different because a lot of people don't really go into it knowing what they want. They just trying, and if it don't work, it don't work. But really, in marriage, it gotta work if you're gonna do it.
Right. Especially when we take away the idea of that it's a contract and look at it as a covenant, and that it's ministry. And it's the biggest thing that is one of the ways that God also shows how we are to love one another. Even when it says that the husband is to love his wife like Jesus loved the church. Yeah. That we already understand that Jesus in the church is a marriage. He's coming back for his bride. So the same love and grace that Jesus gives us, we have to do that in our marriage as well. And although Jesus has more love than the church ultimately has, so the man has more love to give because he's able to carry and bear that. Because sometimes women be a little emotional, just a little bit, but just to understand that and to know that, okay, God, that the man is here. You made him first. He is to lead, not that we don't have our own opinions or we can't say what we need to say or we can't work as a team, but let the man lead. Let him hear from God. Let him hear from God.
I agree with that 115%.
Definitely. Like, that's what I'm saying, like, even to that point. So it was about September-ish. I was just having some time with God, and he gave me the date of when to propose. So I started looking for a ring a month in. I bought it 3 months. So and honestly, kind of what you were saying, I was kind of hesitant about what my immediate family, how they feel thing, having to explain to them hey, this is my wife, I'm about to marry, and after that session, when he gave me that, I went, was talking to my mom. She was like, oh, you already knew. I knew. I was wondering why God always showed me that girl. Yeah, I know that's your wife. You know what I'm saying? Blah, blah, blah. So it was that even more, solidified, okay, this is, a God thing. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And again, it wasn't all right, come on, gotta rush it. But it's all right, cool. We know where we're going. You know what I'm saying? And so we work up to that, not just try to start it and then do the work after.
Yeah.
Even though there's still work you gotta do after.
I think it's kind of like what Neil said. We started, we knew what we wanted going into it.
Right.
Because he was so, I could see the God in him. And I think I was also at a place where I was like, you know what, God, I'm tasking you with my heart, right? Yes, Michael is a representative, right? But hey, if something happened to me, this on you, right? So I hey, I was like, hey, if he do wrong by me, he gonna deal with the Lord. I knew who I was in God, right? That's basically what I'm trying to say. I knew who I was in God, so I wasn't necessarily tripping, but because he made me feel so safe, and it reminded me so much of God. That was what reminded me of God. You know what I mean? So it was kind of we were able to go there and not have to the games and the who on your Instagram, all of that type of stuff. Right. None of that happened. I had the code to his phone. Child, was we even together?
We weren't together.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And, he had mine very early as well. Not as early, not playing. But he did have, but it was there. We knew what we wanted. We weren't trying to play games. Because he had reminded me so much of God, I felt like I could trust him with something, right? And so he made, and here I am, 28-year-old. I was working as a teacher, had my own nonprofit, master's degree, no kids. So like I didn't necessarily need him, right?
Right.
I'm wearing hats, bosses, right? So I needed someone, and back in the day, I used to think like, oh, I need a hood dude. I need somebody that can handle me, right? What he showed me was the strength of God, honestly. You know what I mean? Where I could be vulnerable. Like my pastor, in probably like January, February of 2018, we had a real convo, and he was like, the vulnerability is going to be the thing for you. Who knew? I guess God, that later on in the second half of the year, that I would meet a man that had I not gone through therapy, had I not did the inner healing thing, had I not been intentional about learning how to be vulnerable, I wouldn't have been able to receive him, because Mike is not a rah, 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 you gonna hear me type of man. You know what I mean? So I had to already know how to be vulnerable, but he also gave me that safe space. Right. Something that comes up a lot with me and my friends who are in relationships is submission. Michael makes it easy for me to submit to him. I also know that he's submitted to the Lord. Submitted to the Lord as well. Right. But it's also not a domineering. When I think about submission, and when I think about our marriage, I still consider it to be a partnership. Right. I want to make the point that he made it easy for me to trust him. He made it easy for me to be vulnerable. He made it easy. He makes it easy for me to submit to him. I don't ever have to worry about if he got me looking stupid out here.
Right.
I mean, like, oh, look at them. They on the podcast talking about their marriage, and then DMing him. I don't have to worry. That's not even the least of my, that does not, and I think a lot of men, it's like, oh, I want this woman to do this and that. Are you providing that space for him to do that? I mean, for her to do that. The same way, like I want him to be emotionally, open to me. But like when he does that, are you responsive to that, or are you combative? Or are you judging him, or are you that later in the argument and a disagreement? So I just feel like he made it easy for me to be what it was, like this godly wife, and godly woman. Even he made that easy for me to do that. He makes it easy still to this day. So
that's cool.
I think it's beautiful that you all develop friendship in the beginning, because that's something that we did in the beginning. We were married young though, like 19, 20. And
that's amazing.
Yeah, so we're 12 years in, 12 years in. 3 kids later. And we were friends first. And that's one thing, one advice that I give is like, if depending on your age, but us being young, it was very important for us to be friends first, because if he saw all of me and he didn't care, then all right, God, like the good, the bad, the ugly, the indifferent, everything, sometimes we say, he even saw the psycho side and he stayed. Well, he's a keeper, So, and I think it's really good that, being friends first helps to develop that. And we can let our hair down and be what it is, and you still like me with that. That's so amazing. And then for you all to know and being led by God is amazing as well. If there are couples or people engaged, is there any encouragement that you would give them in order to withstand and sustain in their purity before marriage? Like how to continue in being pure before, just hold on till you get there.
I think first, you have to be honest with, your boundaries. Be honest, like, hey, this is a line for me. We can't cross this line. You know what I'm saying? Like, and you have to keep each other accountable. You know what I'm saying? And I think when you do that at the beginning, to me, that helps train that tool to make sure you're keeping God in the relationship when you get there. Because so focus on, what I'm saying, like you said, keeping it pure, basically like keeping it holy. And so, you're trying to find ways to still be intimate, still be, show affection in a way, you know what I'm saying? And so that can still progress after. So I think the biggest issue is like keeping God the center and knowing your boundaries.
I think knowing your boundaries and being honest, like there will be times where we kiss and I'm like, all right, we need to chill. I'm not gonna, you know what I mean? Like it just is.
Right.
And even like nights when he would stay the night at my house, like he's sleeping downstairs, or you know what I mean? Like you're not trying to. Don't put yourself in an unrealistic situation. You know what I mean? Like you're attracted to him, he's attracted to you. It's so much. You know what I mean? Like don't be silly. And I think the accountability part, more so than us being accountable to ourselves, you gotta have some people outside that you are accountable to, that can say something to you and you not getting your feelings about it, that you can come to and you don't have to be ashamed. You know what I mean? But they not gonna be like, well, girl, how was it? Or, because it's like, well, shoot, I mean,
well, you there already,
might as well keep going, right? One of my friends, Isha, I appreciate her. Like the day we got engaged, she was there for the engagement, all of that, and that night, and she and her husband had waited before having sex until they were married, and she was like, hey, you're almost there. Like, do not give up now. And I think that was a super helpful stuff like that. Like having other people that I'm accountable to that's helping to make sure that that know our goal and that's praying for us.
Right.
That's like, we trying to get here. So I think having accountability outside of the relationship is important. As well. Again, it don't have to be everybody's business ain't everybody's business, but having some people that you got that has the same goal in mind for you in your relationship. And I think also like the more that we did like devotionals and stuff together, like we wanted it. We wanted to wait, like to try to do that. We wanted to be able to do stuff like this and speak to that or show people that it's possible. And, I'm working with kids. I want to be able to really share that from an honest place. And I think the more that we did the devotionals and the Bible studies and stuff together, it just kept God, like what he's saying, like that, kept God at the center and reminded us of what we wanted. And something, because both of us have had sex before, my friend brought up the fact that like anything from Satan be watered down. And like, you know how like you get like with a baby or a toddler, maybe not a baby, like if they got some soda, you're gonna water it down, you're gonna put some so it's not as strong. And it's like we think sex is so bomb when it's not within the confines of marriage. Imagine what it is.
When it is.
When it is, right?
When it's right.
You have to go ahead. You don't have to worry about, man, if I get pregnant, is he gonna be here? You don't have to worry about he's going somebody. Well, hopefully he's not messing with nobody else and she's not messing with nobody else. Right. You know what I mean? Like you don't have to repent in the shower right after, right? You know,
amen.
Way engaged. And I feel like we get so caught up with the watered down version and the world make it look good, you know what I mean? And I think that's part of the church too. We do have to like sex can't continue to be a taboo topic. You know what I mean? Like we have to begin to talk about it and make it lovely within the confines of marriage. So because it is good. God created that.
Right.
Like we cannot act like it's so, oh my God, and not talk about it. But I do think that abstaining before we were married helped us to learn how to be intimate non-sexually, right? In a non-sexual way, helped us to learn that. So because it's gonna be moments, like we had a kid, hormones during pregnancy go up and down when it comes to that. Sometimes the last thing I get your pinky toe off of me, girl. Like, and then of course, hopefully, not hope. Some people wait, some people don't. The 6 weeks, after delivering, you know what I mean? Like, so what you gonna do? You know what I mean? Like, you have to learn how to be intimate in a non-sexual way.
That's good.
And also, for both of us, like I said, go back to knowing your goals for your relationship. We knew we were supposed to be generational curse breakers. We're supposed to be and so I was always like, I want to have my first kid when I'm married. Like that was like the goal. And so it was just, knowing I wanted that when she went there for herself. Again, like we was like, all right, we gotta make it to this goal. Like, what I'm saying, we're here. Like each was telling us. So
we were super close, and we really wanted that. And I think too, like in the being reasonable, don't. If it's Friday night at 11 o'clock, maybe y'all don't need to go home together. You know what I mean?
Right.
Chop it up in the car and then be like, all right, see you later. You know what I mean? Like, be honest with yourself. It's not, I'm going to be able to do this. And then it's like, don't wear certain stuff. Don't, like, be for real, bro. Be for real. You know what I mean? Like, if you got something going on where you wear gray sweatpants or you got a certain sundress that look, come on, like be for real and be honest with yourself, because that's what is that helping? You know what I mean? The thirst trap. That ain't the time. Certain music we didn't listen to at the, certain TV shows or movies. Like I know a lot of people were into Power. The sex scenes for me it was too much. I'm not. Everybody like, man, who killed? I don't know who killed nobody, baby. I don't
need that in my spur.
Yeah, like I don't know.
Yeah,
that worked for us. You have to do stuff, but I think keeping it a buck with yourself is really the first step. Like you got to keep it real with yourself. Because
I like that. I hope people catching this because having the boundaries, like you said, and then also having the right circle around you to help you be accountable. That's big. I think a lot of people need to hear that.
Right, very important because we look at ourselves as being the curse breakers as well. I know, especially for my family, and even though, like, when my husband met me, I was a virgin, and he was like, he ain't believe it because he wasn't used to people, women, girls, being virgin. I don't believe you, girl. I'm like, it's true, but even though, I lost my virginity. It's like a year and a half later, and we end up getting pregnant, but every time we would do wrong, we'd be like, Jesus, forgive us, Jesus, forgive us, Jesus, forgive us, every single time.
Yeah.
And the thing was, we decided, we was like, all right, if we start reading the Bible together with each other, maybe it'll help.
You did that.
It felt like it was just getting intensified. It was, because it's like, the devil was just like, nah. So, and then I got to a place where I was like, all right, God, we're going to break up. I'm going to tell him we can't do this anymore because we don't have self-control and I'm tired of disappointing God. So we have to break up. So I'm preparing my life and I find out I'm pregnant. And I was like, Jesus, what happened? Not that it's his fault because he ain't say lay down, Even in that, it helped me to learn that, okay, Diamond, you made a mistake, because I didn't like to make mistakes. I didn't like to do wrong stuff. I just wouldn't do it. So if I felt like I was going to make a mistake, I just didn't want to do it. But I learned in that mistake in that, that, even though you had a baby before you got married, my plan was to have a child by the age of 25. That was my plan. Get married young, but don't have a child till 25. I had my second child at 25. So and I did get married young, so thank you, God. And I lost my virginity too. Happened to be my husband. Even though it was kind of out of order. But even in that, it still showed that God had grace and mercy and all through it. And us being young, we went through a lot of different things. My own emotions, having a kid, like he would say all the time that I was more connected to my son than I was to my own husband. Which was crazy. So we had to figure out how to communicate with each other. How do we deal with our problems? One thing was, I knew that we did premarital counseling as well, but it was for it wasn't like really long, like a 6-week process. Right. It was more like we checked in with our pastor, and he was like, "Hey, all right, I think y'all doing good." So I guess he just knew that we would figure it out.
Yeah.
So our maturity helped with a lot of the challenges that we went through, and then understanding later in our marriage, like we really have to have grace for one another. So even though you all are still newly married, is there anything that you all help to guide or guard you all as you come against challenges, or if you've all reached a challenge that you feel like, God, we really need you right now?
I think number one, letting it be a consistent thing. Like I think because life comes with its ups and downs, I can tell different times where like we've been communing with the Lord a lot and when we have not.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like when we've let life and its endeavors and busyness kind of get us out of the habit of maybe studying as much or doing devotionals as much or praying as much together, we can definitely tell, right? Because the stuff comes, we're weaker, we're more vulnerable because we have but also very early we learned like with disagreements, like we're on the same team.
Right.
Us is Ash and Mike against the problem. It is not Ash and Mike against each other. This is never my opponent. This is never my enemy. So in that, we don't have to be disrespectful to each other. That's one thing I can say. We're not calling each other out our names. We're not yelling at each other. We're not cussing at each other. We're not intentionally like, we're not. That's not what we're doing, right?
Good. That's good.
And I mean, it does, and we have disagreements, right? You know what I mean? Like, if you get along all the time, something wrong, somebody's not happy.
Somebody.
Because nobody, you're conjoining, you're constantly, conjoining, becoming one. It's impossible to get along all the time. But I think learning that early helped us tremendously, and being able to take a step back and be like, well, what is this? Is this an attack of Satan, or is this just a lack of discipline on our part or a lack of communication? Like that's one thing we don't try to do. It's called everything the devil. Some things are, we know that. Some things is just like, bro, you just left that right there. You know what I mean? Like it ain't got nothing to do with, so I definitely think that part, recognizing that we're on the same team, helps us making sure that we're spending time with the Lord. So that just gives us greater clarity and greater discernment. So when we are able to see things for what they truly are. And I will also say, and that's part of our kind of mission and our motto, like our page is becoming the Broad Axis, and part of becoming is giving each other grace and space to get it right and get it wrong.
I like
to get it right.
Wrong. We're not perfect. We are going. It don't matter how much I love him, how much he loves me. We're going to let each other down. We're regular people.
Yeah.
Right? So we have to give each other grace to get it right and get it wrong, and give ourselves grace to get it right and get it wrong. You know what I mean? Like I want my desires to be an amazing wife to him. My desires to be an amazing mother to our son.
Right.
Sometimes I'm not that, sometimes I'm gonna miss the mark, and that's okay.
Yeah.
I have to be okay with giving myself grace, and also knowing that he's not looking for me to be perfect the same way I'm not looking for him to be perfect.
Right.
And I think that takes some weight off.
Yes, it does.
It's like, okay, let me breathe. When he's not looking for me to be perfect, I can at least try.
Yeah.
I'm more susceptible to trying, and it's okay if I fail. I want to do better, and I'm not banking on failing, but if I do, it's okay. I would say that for me.
That's pretty big.
I learned early on the importance of going to God with your disagreements. So, being able to go to your corner, get outside of yourself, get outside of your pride, like, hey, God, show me where I was maybe wrong in this. Show me where, like,
you and that friend, like, show her she wrong.
yeah, like,
Right.
you want to, you like, man, nah, man, but no, like, okay, where did I go wrong? Like, I can remember it was early on when we were together, and I had to get my car worked on during church. So I was like, okay, I can pick it up after church. I rode with my parents, and then like I rode with her, and she was like, go to the house, chill, we're gonna watch football. I'm just happy because I'm like, yo, my lady, we're just gonna chill all day. Like I'm gonna be with my lady all day. Mm-hmm. And so we were going to get something to eat. We got it to go. By the time we leave there, we're about maybe 10 minutes from my house. I get a call saying my car's ready. So I was like, hey, I can drop you off to my house, get a ride, and then, I'll drive back. But she, her routine, even before we worked together, like she was like, all right, Sundays, I go home, I give me some Popeyes, I go to sleep, and then I take care. So she didn't have her nap. We were eating late, so she was like just frustrated.
When I'm hungry, I'm like the Snickers commercial. I'm a person, and this is after church at this point. And he a PK. He a second generation PK. So they used to like, I feel like church kids, especially preachers' kids, like your stomachs on Sundays are like prone to not eat until 5 or 6 o'clock. Like
eating one meal a day.
Go ahead.
That's not who I am. I need lunch. I need dinner, and I probably don't need a couple snacks. I don't have to, like, I don't know what y'all used to over here, but brunch at 3 o'clock and we ain't even ate. And I don't know if you think you're about to drop me off anywhere.
That's terrible.
Take me home. And it's like, nap.
Yeah.
So she was like, she's like, I'm gonna meet you later. I'll come back to the house, but I gotta go. And I was like, dang. And so at first I was like frustrated. I was like, dang, like, what was that about? So then, of course, I went, like I said, humbled myself. So, all right, God, show me where I, am looking at this wrong. Not necessarily like where I went wrong, but just where I'm looking at this wrong, processing it wrong. Show me, okay, look, man, I get it. You wanted to be with your lady all day, but consider that, like I said, she hasn't had a nap. She's eating late. You know what I'm saying? It's just, he kind of like got her driving between, basically two cities. I mean, it's right. Nashville and Franklin are next to each other, but like basically two cities. Like, you know what? That's on me. And so then, like, when she came to the house, you know what I'm saying? It wasn't even like, she come on, back to like, we gonna finish this. It was like, hey, babe, I'm sorry. Like, I see, This was the reason. Okay, my bad. That's on me. Mm-hmm. And like that, and that's it. And again, like I said, just being humble. Like, don't even let an inkling of that pride hit you.
Yeah.
Let
a little bit,
because
a pinky toe,
man. You, because it just, what I'm saying. You're not gonna process it right. You're not gonna. It's a hard
and I
thing.
think too, what it sounds like to me, you're saying is like a willingness to be wrong.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Perhaps even with the greatest intention, I was wrong.
Something.
And I think that's also where communication. I think communication would have helped us so much in that situation. Yeah. Like he would from jump been like, "Hey, I want to kick it with you today," because it's like you talking about dropping me off at your parents' house and stuff. No shade, I don't want to kick it with them. Like, love y'all, but then what is my, and then you just kind of came in and abruptly tried to change my schedule without conversing with me or whatever. So I think that communication would have helped us tremendously. But I also agree, like a willingness to be wrong. Like even if your intentions were pure, your heart was in the right place.
Right.
Perhaps that didn't come across, to him in that same way, right? Like I'm in my own mind. He has his own thing, and again, that's why communication is so important.
Yeah,
because that's the idea of like the unexpressed expectations or the unrealistic expectations that cause such a tough situation.
Yeah, it does, because you already. It's like it's all the way I see. Like it's already weighty. You know what I'm saying? Like if you have like an unmet expectation or expectation you haven't expressed, you're holding it extra weight. So then something simple she can do. It's like it hits
my
worse.
Plan.
Yeah, like it hits worse because right. Like I don't even know what you're talking about. What do you mean? You know what I'm saying? because I didn't know, they had this expectation of me, or they had this, of what they felt like something was supposed to happen, and so that makes them first. So again, I'm gonna say over communicate is the key. You know what I'm saying? Processes, what you do expect, and being realistic about like, hey, is this an unrealistic expectation I'm expecting as well?
Yeah.
Because I was going to say, one of the books we read together was by not John Bevere. What's the name? You have the right to be right.
Oh, Jeff Dahler.
Yes.
Letting go of the right to be right, or the need to be right.
Right.
Okay.
So, like in the book, he goes through different stories from growing up, his job, and everything. Where you're reading, you're like, "Yo, he had the right to be mad," and it's like, "God,
right."
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, the humility of it.
And so, like, and that helped us because, like, again, you want to giving up the right to be right. Like, it's if I'm right, but my marriage is cost of that.
Right.
What's the point of being right?
Is it worth being right, or is it worth peace in your house?
Big fact.
I'm talking about like being passive. That's like being honest and like working through stuff too.
Right.
And humble. What really what matters? You know what I mean? Like, I just want to get my point across, or do I want some understanding to happen with us?
Right.
Well, knowing that you all are family oriented, I wanted to ask a question. Having a new child, newly married, are there any traditions that you all have from your families that you plan to do with you and your baby?
Football.
Like we were just watching the high school football game while Michael was still up. He's a third. His name is Michael.
Keep it going.
Right. But we was just watching, and it's amazing how he'll definitely watch it. My family, we grew up playing basketball. That's more of my thing, but I'm learning more about the whole football thing. So that's one thing. Like him and the Michaels, like him, his dad, and the baby they'll go to his parents' house and watch football on Saturdays. My dad is a huge Tennessee Titans football fan. So do that part. I will say the tradition, both of us grew up in the church, like that's definitely and not necessarily just the churchy part, but the relationship, encouraging with God for sure. That's life changing for me.
Yeah.
And definitely we already do different things, praying with our son.
Yeah.
I read books about God, going to church. He don't all the time want to act right in church, but still.
Right.
What do you expect?
Right. He be down for the music. He be down for the music, but after that, he like,
Awesome.
And so training him to be the next preacher kid.
Right.
Even in football, preaching, church.
My family, my mom's side, we do family reunions every 2 years. Like that's a legit thing. Got whole committees and planning boards and all of that. So I think just instilling, just being around family and family love and the importance of like talking to people. Maybe it's your second or third cousin. But if y'all close in age, y'all can rock and all of that type of stuff. Really big on sports, because I play basketball, so I definitely, we was dribbling today. Okay.
Yeah. even music, cause like I said, I played football like as a kid, but I really got in the band as I got older. And even now, like we'll watch band videos and drum videos, and he just be
everything is a drum right now.
Yeah. 2 sticks, it's over.
Yeah, you give him 2 cups, you give him anything. Like he has turned that into a drum. And I think too, something that's important for me and Michael is education. So we read to our son at least once a day. And we got to start getting better with our YouTube with posting videos of story time with Tattoo. But he really loves to read. It's like funny. Now he'll grab a book whether it's upside down and now he'll open it. And
and you have a serious face too. Like he's whatever's he reading.
Like you know what he doing.
He's reading, okay? You understand? And he loves it. So that's something that I want to help encourage. Again, being in education, literacy is super duper important. I feel like it can just open books for me, open my world.
Yeah.
Imagination to so many things. And I loved it. I still love to read. And, you know, I don't want that to be a chore for him or something that's like, you're in trouble, go pick up a book. Or, you know,
something enjoyable.
Yeah, I want that to be something that he enjoys. I really do feel like, you know, knowledge is your key. Education is your key.
It is, right.
Nobody can take that away from you. So,
yeah,
it's a few things. Also, the tradition of laughter, having fun. Like, that's something that we do. And he's so silly. He already now, like, I think, dude, is hilarious.
Yeah.
Stuff that he's doing. And we just have fun. Like, we'll, you know, like right now, we got a ball pit in the middle of the daggone living room. But just having fun and, you know, laughing, and he'll play, like, he loves to play Boo and hide and seek or tag, whatever the game is with Mike right now. That's his new thing. And we just like to have a lot of fun, and we want our house to be a place of peace and fun, and safety. You know what I mean? Comfortability. So that's something that we're trying to, you know, keep going. And all that.
Right. For one thing that we newly introduced was every Christmas, right before Christmas, our daughter is born in December. And something new for her and daddy is to make gingerbread houses. So that's something that I would try to always find. Couldn't find it last year. I guess everybody bought them up before Christmas. So, but every year I would try, and that would just be what they do. Okay. Me and the boys, we don't really do anything like that, but that would just be something that they do.
That's dope. I like that.
Yeah. And then when it was just again me and Junior, Neil Jr., the oldest, he said, if I have a daughter, I'm taking her out on a date and I'm leaving you at home. And I was like, okay, that's fine. So he did that. He took her out on a date. So
she didn't like it though.
Yeah, you took her to Ruby Tuesday.
I took her to Ruby
She ain't want no salad.
You got a good salad bar.
But she ain't want salad. She wasn't, but taking them on dates. So I'm like, okay, well, I'm up now because I got two boys to take me out. So, hey, you know, I'm feeling fancy. So, like, you know,
we are excited to do that, to do like different traditional stuff. Like, I guess, or just like traditions of our own, or even some carried through from our families. Like, because he's so young, like, what, Christmas time, he's 6 months. It's like, you barely held your head up, you know, you barely sit nugget. But we are, that is exciting to, like, think about. Like, I see some people do different stuff, like Elf on a Shelf, or, you know, every year for their birthdays, they do this type of thing, or that is exciting to think about. To be intentional about
what our thing is.
Being in education, or again, when you all said making tradition, making laughter a tradition, that's something that we do all the time. I joke all the time. He jokes all the time.
And so does my son too.
Yeah, all of them. Like all of them. And people call me, or I'm known for the woman of many faces. I do a lot of facial expressions. And the youngest one, he does it really well too. And my daughter, she's picking it up.
Okay.
So it's so funny that that they pick those things up, and like laughter is just something that we try to, you know, instill with our children too. So
in my wedding vows, I vowed that I would on him and our children. Just to keep everybody humble. You know what I mean? Sometimes we can get up here, a nice little joke, bring it down a couple of notches. If we joke on our son, people are always like, man, I already know that he's gonna be like, when he starts talking, he gonna be able to flame y'all up. And I'm here. I'm preparing myself for the phone calls from the teacher. Like, Michael is a very bright student, but he keep on and we got to get that to stop. So we're gonna teach them how to do it first, and then we'll teach them time and place.
Right. The time and place. I think our youngest one is going to be.
I mean, like in public school and with summer camps, you got to know how to hit them with a little mamas. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're right. You're right. You gotta hold your own. You gotta hold your own.
You gotta have your comeback sitting in the pocket.
You know, you got to know how to.
You do. You gotta have them sitting in the pocket. Wait.
Right.
And it was one year we did my sister and they were all living with us. It was like a lot of us in the house. Amen.
Right.
1 year for Christmas we did riddles. So they opened all their gifts, and then the last gift. See, because you know, I used to be a rapper back in my day.
God.
You know?
She the only one that wanted to do this. I didn't agree with it at all. I didn't want
to. But I like rhymes. I like rhymes. My children rhyme. We do it all the time. Anyways. So I was like, for their last big gift, let's do rhymes or like a nursery rhyme. So we had 3 gifts and they will all go find them. The crazy thing is my son, he answered everybody's because that's just what he's used to. And he had to help everybody else, my other 2 nephews, because they're like, man, we don't do this.
So she hid their gifts in the house and then
3 different locations.
Had riddles to find the next.
So it was a scavenger hunt. That's dope.
It was
so what we did was,
but ain't nobody found
so what we
it.
did, they did. You wasn't paying attention. You wasn't paying attention. So what we did was we sent a message and we put in each other's phone like, this is Santa, but it wasn't Santa or whatever.
Okay.
And just so that they can be like, oh, okay. So I was like, yeah, Santa, he said he missed y'all and his gifts went everywhere. You gotta go find them. So he left us riddles.
Wasn't my idea.
Hey, that's fine. Look, my son was happy. He was excited. The other 2 were like, come on, auntie. And I'm like, what? It was a little fun, right? So that was something cool that I liked that, you know, my son enjoyed it. Hey, it is what it is. But not to keep you all too longer, you were saying that you all have a YouTube channel and you do stories with tattoos. So what is one story or one of your favorite stories that you all read or that you see that he loves the most?
He loves so many of them, like, because we're also very animated when we're reading. So it's like,
yes, you have to be.
You know, he's like, wait, you're right. Like, he'll be trying to talk back. Right. Yeah. We do make a point because I am in education and I see the lack of it. We do make a point to put books in front of him that show people that look like him.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of Black authors, a lot of
affirmation books.
Like if it's a book that's by a Black author or the main character is a Black boy, Black girl, we definitely put those in front of him. These are some that I like.
The Netflix special bookmarks.
Yes. So a lot of those books we have.
Okay.
We built his library like on our registry. For our baby shower, we had a bunch of books for his birthday. He just turned 1 in June. We had books on there, and people are such givers. Like just last week, was it? Rolanda dropped off those books. Like it's a tub right here.
We have
also a program that delivers the books to the kids too.
Well, we were in Maryland.
Also, my
Dolly Parton.
Yeah, so they got the Dolly Parton thing. Of course, we're part of that. But one of my friends signed us up for a book subscription, a book box subscription. Say that 3 times fast. Called the Just Like Me book box. So it's a Black-owned company that sends based off of your child's age. They send like 2 to 3 books every month.
Okay.
That are by Black authors and feature Black children. And that has helped build our library a lot. And we also, like, I'm always on social media. Like, I follow like a lot of different authors or book clubs or different things like that. So I've come across a few. This one I absolutely love. It's called I Am Because I Choose. And it's just about like your choice being your superpower. You're able to, you know, like be great because you make the decision. And I think like decision making, empowering our kids to make strong and important and responsible decisions are super important. And I see that a lot, like working with kids where that's not always the strongest, their strong suit. So one, like this page here really quickly, it just says, I am responsible because I choose to listen quietly. What it says, I am respectful. Okay, let me get my glasses. I am respectful because I choose to listen quietly, especially when adults are speaking to me. I respect my elders and my elders respect me. And when we work together, we make a pretty good team. And I really enjoy that page because that's something that we want to make sure that he knows. Like, just because we are older than you, it does not mean that we are allowed to be disrespectful to you. You know what I mean? And yes, you give respect to people, but also you are deserving of respect as well. But this one talks about that. There's another one. This one is dope. Have you thanked an inventor today? It's actually by the same lady. But it's just about, it goes through his day of like waking up and going to school and coming home and all the different inventions by Black people. Some I had no idea. Some was like the super soaker, but it was like the electric guitar, the ironing board, the lunchbox, the refrigerator. Like things I was like, what?
That's important. They need to see that too because it gives them hope that later they can do something just as good. You know what I'm
Absolutely.
Improve on it.
Absolutely.
Our daughter, she says she wants to be a scientist. She definitely asks enough questions.
I love that. As a former science teacher, we absolutely need that. Of course, there's another book series called the Hey Carter book series. So that's the Brown Boy Joy and My Chocolate Skin and the King for a Day. Like they have a lot of, and like the authors like respond to us. Like when we post like each for his month picture, the year, every month, we had a new book. Another one that I really love is Jesus is My Best Friend. And I think hers, it's called The Greatest in the Kingdom. Like that's her book series. So her books are all around God, which is really dope. Like that one just talks about, and it makes, as we talk about the Holy Trinity, it makes Jesus be like human, like and personable. There's another one about the greatest gift, and that being about Holy Spirit. And I think the other one is like something about the Father, me and my Father, me and my Dad, or something like that. And those are really dope. He really enjoys the pictures. He really enjoys that. So even though he may not be able to, like some people are like, why did you start so early? Like we were reading to him while he was in vitro, child. He was in the womb and we were reading. And that was also a way for him to get to know Mike's voice. Like he hear my voice.
Of course.
But that was helpful for that. And also that he could be used to it. We've noticed that it helps with his, even though he's the only one, he's not really talking a whole bunch or that well. But we noticed that it helps with his, with his cadence.
He understands that. So like outside this, the reading wasn't just like Google Gaga. I was like, no, let's talk to him normal. And so like now he even knows how to respond. If I sneeze, I hear him Dada. I'm like, thank you for saying bless you. I appreciate that. Like that cadence of like what it means to
And I think as well. It just about to say something I forgot, but that's okay.
I think it's important earlier the better because
that's what I was going to say.
I think because my daughter, she's very intelligent, and I think it's because we started her so early with reading and getting her numbers, and every day is just repetition, and now they're sending us sight words home, and she's getting tested on the same day, and she doesn't
ready for the next one.
Yeah, she doesn't even like get challenged anymore. Because we've already instilled in her this work ethic to learn early. Yeah. And I think that's great what y'all doing, man.
Thank you. And it's not as much as like pulling teeth. You know what I mean?
Right.
To do it, like if you know that we're gonna read once a day, you know that we're gonna read once a day.
Right.
You have to like and we give him choices, like which book would you like to read? And now he's like hey, come on, let's do what we need to do.
Come on.
Or he'll want to sleep. Like we do recommend board books for the littles. So a board book looks like this, compared to the way he be aggressive with the page turn. He's a little aggressive, and it's like
right. That's how my younger son is too.
Yeah, we had
like
to
the
teach
little
him.
Excavator.
Yes, the little excavator. The little excavator about dump trucks. Yeah. He loves that.
Good night. Y'all should give him good night construction site.
Okay.
They say good night to each, like an excavator and a Tonka truck. And
Yeah, and when you were saying in regards to when we read to our children, even in infancy, it creates the understanding in the auditory for them when they begin to actually speak, and that's something that I learned too with teaching, even for children who are ESOL, even though they may be older. It's about what they're hearing in the auditory, so that they can begin to pronounce, and even when your words, the way that your lips move and your tongue and how you use that, helps them to form their words and letters as well. And those things I notice, because like I'll say certain things, and my son, he says, "Can I have some oat milk?" It's not oat milk, it's oatmeal, meal. And he's like, "Nah, it's oatmeal." He's like, "I'll grab everything else, but this is oatmeal."
I don't want it.
I said what I
said. But yeah, I definitely feel like it helps with the phonics and the linguistics of it. And I think we catch Tattoo, he'll watch us. Like as we're reading, or he'll watch the way in which we are forming our words.
Yeah.
And he's like, okay. Like he's taking it in. And again, he may not be able to now, but eventually he will be. And we're excited for that.
And even knowing when you were saying bless you, knowing when and how to use the words, even that's amazing, because my 3-year-old he'll sneeze or we'll call, "You okay? You okay?"
Right.
Everything is you okay?
You okay?
I sneeze, you say God bless you. Oh, okay.
Mike he brought me some breakfast the other day. And he had a bottle, dropped his bottle, said thank you. I said, this is mine. It was like thank you. I was like, bro, no, this is mine.
Right. Well, thank you for using your manners.
Right. I was like, stop doing that. Your boy was like, appreciate you, Daddy. Good looking out.
Right.
That's our food.
Right. Ours for sharing. Right. So one book that we share, or what we do for our bedtime routine when they get into bed, is read a book with them. It's usually a Bible story at night, and then we'll say a prayer with them. So one book we have is I Am.
I love that.
And it's all the names of God, and it has the stories. What's crazy, what's good, not crazy, is that, and the pictures are like beautiful colored, and they'll give you the story. It tells you God's name and what it means, and then towards the end, it'll have a prayer for you, dear God, that you say with them, and then it tells you to learn more, and then what happens next. So, and then it tells you what it means a little bit too. So
that's a new one,
yeah, this one I bought for our oldest one when he was like 4. So we still have this one, 40 Reasons to Trust God.
I just found it on Amazon, child. I'm about to.
And then we just finished. This is probably the second time we read this one, but Good Night Bible.
Oh wow!
This one's probably for the little one, and it's like the same thing. It has a quick story, and then it has the scripture, a prayer. Let's thank God for all his love and watchful care from up above. Their prayer, and then right before bedtime, tonight's Bible word is rules. Think about rules that keep us safe, and how happy God is when we obey him. So we'll have a little conversation, and
that's what I was about to say. I love that it fosters discussion. You know what I mean? And that helps with the comprehension part. But I love that. And it makes God like regular. You know what I mean? I think sometimes be so holy and high that we're like, it was later on in my relationship with God that I was like, let me just come to him about everything.
Everything.
Right,
Instead of it being like, oh, here I am, God, a humble servant, I come before you. You know,
right.
I think that's one of the biggest misconceptions that people have is that you got to be so holy to come to God. You know what I mean? I think that's a really big misconception.
Old English version, King James.
He know who you are. He know how you get down. You know what I mean?
No, seriously, absolutely. And people, when I'm teaching Bible study or something, people are always like, your analogies or the way that God talks to you, like, I'll say something like, what was that? I was like, about taking a thought captive. I was like, I'm gonna give y'all 5 steps like Drew Hill. Here we go. And it's like, hey, that's just the connection point for me. Or if I'm watching, I don't know if y'all seen 8 Mile. Have y'all seen 8 Mile?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But like, I feel like when you're honest with yourself and when you have talked about that with the Lord, you become B Rabbit at the end of the movie where he was like, I can't expose myself. And then Satan is Papa Doc. He doesn't have he can't use anything against you because you're already there with shame, right? Like when you're honest with the Lord, shame has no place. Guilt has no place.
I like that.
Being like that, and then Papa Doc, you just look, you know, and then you
got no play no more.
Right.
I'm just saying, you watch a few movies like Toy Story 4. Toy Story 4 will preach. Do you understand what I'm saying? We was watching it. Like, man. We had some of my mentees. They was like, y'all just church. I was like, that was gonna preach.
That was a lesson.
It was like, hey, that's a word. Disney has some ministries like this. But I think just being regular, you know what I mean? That's something that we're called to do. Clearly, we're called to point people to the Lord, but also just show like you can be regular.
Yeah,
you know, you can still be holy. You can still be set apart, right? You can still be, you know, of the world, not be. What is it? You can be in the world and not be of the world, right? You don't have to be worldly and all of that type of stuff, but you can still be regular people. You don't have to try and be more than what you are. You know, you don't have to try and switch up your behavior so much because you're around us. Like we're just I think that's something that we get when people kick it with us for the first time or whatever. They like, y'all like super regular. And it's like right. To be regular people that love the Lord. You know what I mean? That's what we do. And we want our kids to be the same way. You know what I mean?
I like that.
And it is important that you say, you know, God talks to us the way that we need him to. Well, my sister told me one time she was at the altar and she heard a voice that said, girl, if you don't stop doing that, like,
help us.
Like, okay, that's how you got to get talked to. That's how you got to get talked to, you know? But if I would have heard that voice, I would have been like, mama, grandma, who's that? You know, but for her, that's what she needed to hear, you know, because and that worked for her, you know, because she knew it was God. She was like, all right, well, I got to get myself together now.
Absolutely.
Right. Yep. So we appreciate you all joining us. Again, if you all are watching, please follow them. Share your where they can follow you all at.
Yeah. I recently got hacked, so my Instagram now is Becoming the Broadnaxes. So that is BECOMING Broadnaxes, broad like shoulders, BROADNAXES. So boom, we got it there. And that's also our YouTube channel, Becoming the Broadnaxes, and then your Instagram handle.
My Instagram is Mike_the_gentleman. That's where you from.
Yes.
All right. Well, we're glad to have you all here. At the end of every podcast, we say a short blessings prayer. So be blessed. May the Lord keep you. May his face shine upon you. May he give you his favor and may he give you his peace. Until the next time, and we meet again, y'all. Be blessed. Thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, follow the Broadnaxes. Also go to our YouTube channel, but our website. On there, we have a free resource for married couples.
That's true.
The marriage pursuit All right. The Marriage Union Pursuit Activity Book. It's free. You download it. You can do it digitally or print it, whatever tickles your fancy. But it's a wonderful, wonderful activity book just to rekindle, reconnect, and to remember why you got married. All right. So again, until next time, be blessed, y'all. Good night.
All right.
Yeah.